right? So kids were not allowed to smoke these. These were elderly individuals that smoked, and it was only used for religious purposes. So then the cigar, right, developed just a century later. So initially, the pipe was used, and then the cigar dates back to the 10th century, also in Mexico. And then the explorers of the New World brought this back to Europe. They thought, well, this was a great thing that the Central America had in Mexico. And this guy, Jean Nicot, okay, the French ambassador to Portugal, introduced tobacco to his home country. That's where nicotine comes from this guy, Jean Nicot. And this guy liked tobacco so much that he basically introduced the whole country to it. Okay? The tobacco use became popular in Europe, driving trade in the New World. If anybody's ever looked at any books in terms of the trade triangle, we always talk about cotton. Actually, tobacco was one of the main drivers in trade. So it's huge. Okay? So there are some guys. This is good tobacco. It smokes well, very fine indeed. Where is it sold? That was the poster. That's kind of a marketing campaign of the time. Okay? Cigars were rolled in plant wrappers until the 17th century. But the problem with tobacco was that it grew really well in Central America and the Americas. It didn't grow very well in Europe. So what did they need to do? Well, they wanted to pack as many of the tobacco plants on the boats, and they figured, well, if we shred it and if we compact it, we can actually get a lot more in there. So that's kind of the evolution of the cigarette, right? So you're not packing leaves and carefully pressing them. You're actually shredding things, compacting them, so you can put more on the boat. Again, trade, right? So Spain developed a thin paper wrap for a cigar called the papel. Okay, so this is the first picture of a guy smoking, right there. Okay, same exact thing. Francisco Goya painted this, and obviously this is again like almost a marketing campaign, right? For this guy looks like he's enjoying himself with a couple of his friends smoking a cigarette. Okay, and so the term cigarette came from the term cigar, which in French means little cigar, right? Cigarette. The first patent cigarette machine was by this guy Juan something or other from Mexico in 1847, but it wasn't until about 1880 that Dr. James Albert Bosnack, and he was an engineer. He had many patents. He developed the actual cigarette machine. This guy Adorno from Mexico, he developed kind of a single cigarette machine. This guy basically went all out, and overnight, after he got the machine working, production went up 100-fold. Okay, so before they were able to produce about 40,000 cigarettes daily. It was hand rolled. Then overnight, 4 million cigarettes. So the industry was growing. Okay, this is the patent picture that the guy submitted. It's difficult to figure out. This is a simplified version of it. Basically, you have a scoop that has the shredded tobacco in there. You have paper that will roll it in. Okay, there's paper here, rolls out. There's a little funnel. There's glue, and then there's scissors. Cut it down. So that's simplified. Okay, so all of a sudden you can make a lot of these cigarettes. So one of the things that happened in history is that the military got a hold that people kind of like these cigarettes. How do you keep people in liking cigarettes? Well, you can also send our troops with cigarettes wherever they go. These are some of the packages from Vietnam that basically our boys were sent over with these care packages. There was food, there was sugar, salt, and everybody also got a pack of cigarettes. And I'll tell you how many patients come in that they say will literally tell me the government got me started on cigarettes. I had one patient that told me it was either do 10 push-ups or smoke one. The general was smoking, so he said, I need a smoking break. Whoever smokes can also take a break. Everybody else do push-ups. So you can figure out that very quickly, instead of doing push-ups, they said, well, why don't I just smoke? And that's what happened, I think, a lot. So you can have I'm not sure exactly whether you had a choice, you probably did not as to what, but there was also a little bit of trade, right? So you could have a camel or a Pall Mall or Winston, and all these things, also another form of trade. Okay? So the military contribution, widespread smoking epidemic, contributed to the widespread epidemic in the United States. So in the 1900s, okay, 0.5% of the population smoked. Okay, 0.5. Average user smoked 54 cigarettes per year. Okay, that is about 0.15 cigarettes per day, or 1 cigarette per week. So it was like, you know, you have your scotch or whatever, you have a cigarette, and that's it. You're good for the week. Okay. By 1965, 50% of men smoked. 50%. That's huge. 30% of women, they were catching up as the boys were coming home, and they were introducing their women into smoking. Okay? And this is men that smoke was all of a sudden, there was a great definition. Defined as smoking more than 100 cigarettes per year. So these guys here in the 1900s wouldn't even be considered smokers by that fact, right? Because they were all only smoking 54 cigarettes per year. So there was zero based on 0% of men and women smoked in 1900, but 50% by 1965. So average smoker smoked 4,259 cigarettes per year. That's about 12 cigarettes per day, or 82 cigarettes per week. So that was at the peak. In 2000, about 30% of men smoke, 22% of women smoke. Okay, average user, you can read that. So 6 cigarettes per day, or 40 cigarettes per week. That's about 2 packs per week. 2015, we're really doing well, right? 19% of men smoke, 15% of women. Really kind of started to taper down. So the general reports, and I actually have this somewhere. At any rate, the broadcast ad ban, for example, came in 1975, I believe. First World Conference on Smoking and Health. Great American Smoke was there. So basically, we were fighting the trend that was going upwards with a lot of different events and a lot of different things to try to push this curve down. Okay, so we're here in about 2000, where we've been doing really very, very well in terms of the cigarettes. Okay, this is data for cigarette smoking in our youth. Okay, now looking back at 1975, remember that number, 30% of men? Well, 12th graders were smoking at the same rate as men in 1975. Okay, so almost 30%. And we've been doing really, really well. By 2014, that dropped below 7%. I think it was at 6%. 10th graders also, right? These are really, really good things for our kids. Okay, so as you can see, the adult trend and the student trend. And at one point in time, it was students were higher than adults, believe it or not. But they're now matching up, and it's going down overall. High school students versus adults. Okay. So again, some of the things that that contributed to the decline in cigarette sales and cigarette use. Okay, one thing that I did not mention is federal government doubled the cigarette tax, and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, you can make up your own mind. However, it did contribute to people quitting smoking or not picking it up, because all of a sudden they were being priced out by cigarettes. If anybody knows what the price of cigarettes is right now, it is really ridiculous. Where I have patients coming in saying, I can't afford basic needs, and I'm like, you're smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. That's a full meal. So at any rate, but it's an addiction. So tobacco facts. Tobacco causes 1 in 10 deaths among adults worldwide. 1 in 10, right? That's a huge number, right? If 1 in 10 of our children was going out to war and dying, oh my gosh, that would be terrible. Well, yeah, this is the epidemic. More than 7 million deaths per year worldwide. And globally, 21% of adults are current smokers. This is twice as much in worldwide as it is in the United States. But I think it's okay. Thank you. So smoking is estimated to cost about $1.4 trillion in economic damages a year. Okay? Those are humongous numbers. Those economies are not that large. Okay? Countries are not that large. which is a huge impact of cigarettes, right? Just one thing. Okay, 100 million tobacco deaths in the 20th century. We're probably going to see 1 billion deaths in the 21st century. Okay. The reason for this is there's a delay, right? So you smoke your first cigarette today, there is a delay in time that it's actually going to affect you. And this is the problem that the youth have, right? They are invincible. They don't think that this is going to affect them. It's going to happen to everybody else. It's not going to happen to me. That is the problem. And this is why we're going to be going to 1 billion deaths in this century. Okay, so tobacco use. Smoking is the leading cause of preventable death. Okay, in the United States, more than 500,000, or nearly 500,000 deaths per year are caused by smoking alone. That is huge. Cardiovascular health, cancer, etc. Secondhand smoke, right? Something that we don't necessarily hear about that much, but it's a serious health problem. So for people of all ages, 10% of the deaths that are caused by cigarettes, secondhand smoke causes 10%. So 41,000 deaths per year. That is huge. And I'll tell you, patients that come in that have never smoked in their lives and say, my partner smoked, my parents smoked. The partner feels more guilty than anything else, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I gave you this cancer. And we have a lot of patients who say, you know, I got cancer, and then their partner, who's a smoker, says, yes, I gave it to you. And it's really quite terrible. So 100 million people died from tobacco use in the 20th century. Current cancer, 1 billion, that's what I said before. Tobacco use takes the life of up to 1/2 of all lifetime users. So for every person that smokes, or for every 10 people that smoke, 5 of them will die related to tobacco use. Okay, so again, it's almost like playing a Russian roulette with half of the bullets filled in, right? So on average, smokers live 15 years of their life. Okay, that's a lot, right? We're talking about 15 years. Okay, so instead of dying at the age of 80, all of a sudden they're at 65. Tobacco claims life to more than 7 million people each year. By 2030, the number of tobacco-related deaths would increase to 8 million each year. Okay, so the numbers, although the smoking is down, deaths are probably going to go up, only because it takes such a long time to develop cardiovascular disease, cancer, etc. Tobacco-related illness accounts for 1 in 10 adult deaths. By 2030, 80% of those deaths will be in low and middle-income countries. So again, the United States is doing relatively well in terms of trying to get people to quit. Third world countries are doing a terrible job because they just don't have the funds for these things. So health consequences, heart disease, I put cancer in there. Basically, if you can think of a cancer, it is related to smoking, or it can be related to smoking. A lot of head and neck cancers that we see, they're pretty terrible. Bladder cancer, kidney cancer, esophagus, stomach, colon, rectum, liver, pancreas, GYN cancers, leukemias, and obviously lung. Okay, so I'm going to just touch base on lung cancer because it is the leading cause of death from cancer. So that's not to say that that's the most common cancer, but it is the #1 killer. So only about 14% of people who develop cancer survive 5 years. Okay? So that is one of the things that people, and especially kids, don't realize, that even if you do get lung cancer and you say, well, in today's technology and medicine, they can treat me and I'll be just fine. Well, no, we're not that good at treating cancer of the lung. And there's a reason for that, because most lung tumors are malignant. Okay? Most of them are not benign, and most of them, in fact, are found more advanced. And I'll talk about that in just a second. So, as I mentioned, most significant cause of death, and tobacco is the #1 contributor to lung cancer. There's others, secondhand smoke, as I mentioned, radon exposure. So, I'll pause here for a second to explain where we live. Fond du Lac, okay, has the highest radon, okay, in the country outside of Colorado. The reason is because as the glaciers came through, they dropped basically the radioactive material here at the ledge, okay, and it is now seeping through our homes. The problem that we have, as some people might have already heard this, is that we over-insulate our homes here because it's cold. It's cold, so we close our windows, we close our doors, we put more insulation in, and the radon stays in. You can have a radon remediation, which is really very good, but the best thing is probably just to open up a window every once in a while and let that radon out. So if you smoke and if you close your windows in the winter time, or even in the fall, or even in October, half a year or more, you're basically breathing in radon, and you're breathing in cigarettes and breathing in everything else. So this is a huge contributor here for us in Palm County. Air pollution from motor vehicles, factories, asbestos, etc. So, okay. So why is lung cancer difficult to treat? Well, because it's typically found incidentally. And I tell my patients, I say, lungs are like a sponge. Okay? You can hide a lot of stuff in a sponge without realizing. Plus, you have two of them. Okay? Lung cancer typically develops on one side. Maybe it'll go to the lymph nodes. But until you start to develop symptoms, and what are some of the symptoms? Cough, shortness of breath, right? Well, all smokers have that. They have that morning cough. They have some shortness of breath because they're smokers, right? So a lot of the symptoms, it's not like one day they wake up and they say, oh, I think I have cancer. No, it just kind of gradually leads on. So then they go, they stab their toe, they go to the ER, they all get x-rays no matter what. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, something found on the chest x-ray. So the mass is right here. Okay, this is a heart, this is just a regular chest x-ray. But something like this obviously changes the life of the patient. Okay? So it's typically found locally advanced. It's not found, as a tiny little dot. It's found like that, huge, big mediastinal lymph nodes, and that's why only 14% of the patients that are found with lung cancer live beyond 5 years. Okay. In an effort to find these cancers a little bit more quickly, the United States Prevention Task Force came out with an annual screening. So you have to meet a criteria to do that. So a low dose CT, and thanks to Bill, we actually set that up here at St. Agnes. We have this available, and I think through the other hospitals also. No, yeah. So it's available if you're aged 55 to 80, and it's not or 30-pack years of smoking history, currently smoked or quit within the last 15 years. You're eligible, okay, your insurance will actually pay for this to have a screening CAT scan to find these things early rather than late, because cure rates are a lot higher for early stage. So we're hoping, and we are finding new early stage, tiny little things that would have otherwise been completely missed even on an x-ray. We're starting to see this. So you repeat the screening for 3 consecutive years. If it's negative, typically the insurance will say, well, we're not worried about it. But it should be discontinued if the patient's health starts to fail. So if they start to have other problems, they have to have at least kind of a 10 to 15 year lifespan in order to qualify. That's why it doesn't go ages 55 and over. There's a limit, because once you're 80 years old, even if you have lung cancer, they say, well, then you're already at the average death rate for America anyway, so who cares? So this is one of those low dose CTs, and you can actually see this little thing here. That would be probably a stage 1 lung cancer, which could be cut out. And you can also see a lot of damage from cigarettes. And a cigarette pack just proves that indeed this is probably the cause of it. Okay? And we see this pretty often, where all of a sudden the patient says, well, how could that happen to me? I said, well, you got cigarettes on you? And they say, yeah, well, I smoke a little bit. So cancer screening doesn't work. So the reason why the task force was looking into this and made those recommendations is based on this report from the Annals of Internal Medicine from 2013 that reported the results of 4 trials. It depends on what you believe. 1 large great quality trial. We always look at large trials. Look at this low dose CT, and it found screening was associated with significant reductions in lung cancer death by 20%. So we really like that study. We don't like these small European studies across the pond. Who cares? So we ignored those. Those did not find any benefit. So we completely put those under the rug, and we say it doesn't matter. We still believe that it's big, nice United States study. So harms included, obviously we have to mention to the patients that you're going to get radiation exposure from the CTs. It is a relatively low dose, but people do worry. There is overdiagnosis, so sometimes they find a little thing that's benign and you don't know what to do with it. You have to send the patients for workup. High rates of false positive findings. Those are some of the things that we're still dealing with. Obviously, then they need a biopsy and this and that, and a lot of anxiety. So some people say, I really don't like it. I actually do like it. I think it is helpful. And you can go through the anxiety, but it takes time. You have to really coach. And obviously our physicians, especially in the primary care world, don't have the time to necessarily go through that anxiety-provoking event. Incidental findings were common. The most interesting thing I thought about this study was smoking cessation was not effective. Patients would find out that they have lung cancer, it still did not affect them quickly. Knowledge does not change behavior, right? This is the whole point. Hey, I know that smoking is bad. We hear that all the time. Stacy, my nurse, is here. This comes up all the time in the conversation. You have lung cancer. Stop smoking. I know I have lung cancer. I know it's bad for me, but I can't quit. Okay. Other patient, I have cancer. Why should I quit now? You know, who cares? Now it's too late. I'm going to die of lung cancer. I just as well go out with a bang, as it were. So I always talk to patients about quit resources, and this is I'm going to do a quick segue. There are quit resources. There is the quit line in front of you. Things work. Typically, it takes 7 tries for people to quit smoking. And I tell them, I say, don't give up. Try every single day to quit smoking. Try the lozenges. Okay, there's a coupon there. Try the patches. Try cold turkey. Try with a friend. Try making a date. Okay, any progress is progress. Try quitting one cigarette. One less cigarette than what you did yesterday. Okay? And I had one patient that actually moved their whole lives, because what happens is you drive past the same Quick Trip where you pick up your cigarettes. You meet the same friends that smoke. Okay? You go to the same bar or wherever that reminds you of smoking. Okay? You sit at the same computer station where, you know, as you're playing your Sudoku or doing whatever, right, the first thing you do is you light up a cigarette. It gives you something else, your other hand, something else to do. So some patients will go to the extremes and will actually move. They'll change their entire lives in order to quit. This is how bad this is, and I'll mention this in just a second. Okay, again, knowledge does not change behavior. So moving on to the e-cigarette. Okay, first e-cigarette patent was by Herbert Gilbert in 1963. Remember that chart that I showed with that epidemic? That was kind of the high times. A smokeless, non-tobacco cigarette that involved replacing burning tobacco and paper with heated, moist flavored air. Okay? Never gained traction because people enjoyed the traditional cigarette. Okay? Plus it was bulky, plus all this other stuff. So again, first e-cigarette patent right here at the peak. Okay? Did not gain any traction. Way back. Okay? So modern e-cigarette was developed in 2003 by this guy, Han Link. He actually saw his dad die of lung cancer. Okay? And then he designed an alternative. He was an engineer. And it contained vaporized nicotine. So he said, well, it's not the nicotine that's causing the cancer. It's all the additives in cigarettes, all the things in the tobacco. So if we can do just vaporized nicotine, maybe that will be a lot better. So customers were satisfied and his design was stalled. So he never really got credit for it, although he did get some money kind of on the side from some of the companies. He tobacco world, right? They're standing there and saying, this is a problem. This is a problem. Our profits are down, our revenues are down. It's a real problem. So they try to find a solution, okay? So e-cigarette profits could surpass those of combustible cigarettes within 10 years. So right now, 2018, this is growing, okay? That's e-cigarettes, and we're going down on the cigarettes. So this is good for some of the cigarette companies if they get on the bandwagon, okay? So one of the interesting graphs that I found, Lori entered the e-cigarette industry early. And this is basically a graph of the revenues. So you can see Lori, because of the fact that they found the e-cigarette, their profits were going up. Meanwhile, Philip Morris was like, oh, no, it's going to be a fad. So they were staying behind. Now, this is Lori, okay? Vivid and Solaris are Philip Morris. Which one do you see more advertised, right? Typically, it's the blue, right? Everybody kind of recognizes that. It's because they jumped up on that bandwagon a lot more quickly. Now, Philip Morris is playing a little bit of catch-up. Okay. There's a lot of e-cigarette devices. A lot of them. You can have an e-pipe, e-cigar. You can have a large tank device that you can kind of refill it again. It kind of looks like this. That's medium tank device. You can have your rechargeable e-cigarettes. And I'll focus on the JUUL. This is the JUUL, and I'll show you some pictures of that, because that's kind of becoming the trend among teenagers and kids. But whatever you want, whatever you were smoking before, there is an alternative, right? And the idea of it was terrific, right? Quit smoking using these devices. So anatomy of the e-cigarette, some of them have a little LED bulb that kind of glows like a regular cigarette would. It has a battery pack in there. Sometimes it's rechargeable, sometimes it's not. It has an atomizer in there that basically creates that vapor, okay? And that's why it's called vaping, right? It creates a vapor in it. It has a little microprocessor. These are smart things. And there's this thing called e-juice, which is basically contains this the nicotine in there. And you can, some of these devices, you can put almost anything in there, and sometimes you don't even know what's in there, right? So you can refill it with a lot of different things. You can put marijuana in there. I mean, if it becomes a solid, if you heat it up well enough, it can become a gas. First a liquid and then a gas. And sometimes you can use binders. So for a lot of these things, we don't even know what's inside these e-juices. Okay. This is the anatomy of the JUUL. Okay, it also has a battery. Basically, everything is made the same way. It's not meant to be filled up. These little JUUL pods are the flavor pods that have nicotine in there. But the anatomy of it is basically the same. Okay, the delivery device may be a little bit different. But it looks pretty much the same. So, JUUL, right? It's in the news. Okay, although adults probably haven't heard that much about it. I guarantee if you have kids between the ages of 10 and 20, they have heard it. Okay, it's an epidemic in schools. Photo-like high schools, about 20% of kids actually have JUUL, so that's 1 in 5. Okay, same thing at SMSA. Just got a letter yesterday. It says 1 in 5 kids have tried JUUL. They did a survey. Okay, so this is where the problem comes in. Okay, so you can see dollar shares as percentage of e-cigarette traditional retail market. JUUL has taken off thanks to our kids. Thank you, kids. You're making JUUL very, very wealthy. Okay, 73% of the e-cigarette market is now in this device called JUUL. All the other ones are kind of catching up. How did a company that's only 3 years old, right? Wouldn't you want to be these guys? 3 years old, capture nearly 3/4 of the e-cigarette market with $15 billion company in 3 years. Right? We're in the wrong business. We should be in the e-cigarette business. These guys, if you read, they might have had good intentions. They were a couple of Stanford guys that were sitting together smoking, and they said, you know what? We need to quit smoking. Let's develop an e-cigarette, and let's make the $15 billion in 3 years. That's probably not what they were thinking, but that's exactly what happened. Okay. So, why is JUUL cool? Okay. This is what it looks like. It looks cool, right? It looks like a USB stick. It looks looks like something that kids can really get their hands on. Okay? Marketing. Okay? Here we are again. The marketers have to wake up. Look at that. I mean, they're kids. I mean, they're over 18, I'm sure, but they're kids using the product. Okay? How is that different than this? Right? Join the club for cigarettes. Or this. Remember this guy? Right? It just makes us look cool. Okay? JUUL pods, right? You can have methanol, cool cucumber, tobacco, mango, Virginia tobacco, cool mint, fruit medley, creme brulee. I guarantee you that if somebody's trying to quit smoking, they're not going to go for creme brulee. They're like, oh, you know what I really could use right now is a creme brulee cigarette. No, this is for kids. Okay? This is made for kids. It's manufactured for kids. Plus, you can get these cool cases, right? So everybody wants a cool case. It comes, you can buy these secondhand. It comes in really cool wraps. You can wrap it any way that you want, okay? And so it kind of can define you, okay? And as a parent, would you be able to recognize anything like this laying on a table? Probably not. You know, they have so many different devices and stuff laying on their table. This kind of reminds me, remember those click pencils, right? It's almost like that click pencil case, right? I don't know, like that, or a USB stick. So you can put it into the computer to recharge, okay? Either this way or that way, it doesn't really matter. Okay, and then you can hide it, right? These are really, really good things for kids, right? You can put it in a Sharpie. There's YouTube videos that show you how to do that, okay? And this guy will show you where in school you can hide it so that it's not found. There was another picture that I saw yesterday of a guy wearing a hoodie, and he put one of those, the strings from the hoodie, that was attached to his JUUL. So he was able to basically suck on it as he was sucking on in class, right there. And there's videos that will show the kids how to do that. It's great. It's terrific. Oh my gosh. Right? So current trends in high school. Cigarettes, bad, ooh, no. So this trend is going down. The only line that's going up is the e-cigarette line. Okay? And this is scary. Believe me, the cigarette companies are taking note, right? They're saying, oh my gosh, look how terrible this is. Okay? We're going to be out of business. Oh, thank God there's e-cigarettes. We can really get on top of this. So conventional tobacco use is down, so what's the concern, right? What's the big deal? Kids are smoking less cigarettes, conventional tobacco cigarettes, so what's the big deal? They're vaping, they're doing a little bit of this. Well, the problem is that the new generation of addicts is going to be our kids, right? So it's not that JUUL is going to cause cancer, it's not, but it gets advertised as something cool for kids, right? So e-liquid looks like this, food products look like this, so kids start to get interested in this, and they say, you know, can I have this? And they get confused. There have been poisonings where kids actually drank the e-juice thinking that it would be a food product. So again, this is not something that an adult would say, oh yeah, you know, help me quit smoking. I'm going to get myself some treetop juice box e-juice. You know, that doesn't happen. Or sour candy. No, that's for kids. So all the marketing, you can't even tell some of these products apart from their original counterparts, Oreo cookies and this and that. So again, very much marketed towards kids. The problem with e-cigarettes is this nicotine addiction, and I'll mention that in just a second. But there's other things in there. There's inhaled ultrafine particles, there's flavorants. Diacetyl is one of the things that actually keeps the nicotine bound in these the vapors, and that can cause popcorn lung. It's known to cause popcorn lung, which is basically inflammation and fibrosis of the lungs. Okay, so kids using this diacetyl is actually damaging their lungs, and that's because the tobacco has to somehow bind into this vapor. There's volatile organic compounds, and there's also heavy metals, not like the band, but rather nicotine and even lead that you're breathing in. Okay, so problem with nicotine, it is one of the most addicting substances in the world. Okay, So I used to work at the drug and alcohol rehab hospital on weekends and nights, and I could get people to quit heroin. That was pretty easy. Okay? Cocaine, not a problem. Alcohol, yep, can do it. I could not get people to quit cigarettes. Okay? It was impossible. In fact, a lockdown hospital, okay, rehab hospital, with security guards, guard doors, and everything else, allowed for cigarette breaks, because otherwise they would have mutiny. Okay? So there would be cigarette breaks where the security guards would actually walk these people out. They would smoke and whatnot, then they would go back to their rooms and get more therapy. That's because nobody could get these people to quit, and it's because of nicotine. It alters brain development below the age of 25. So our brains grow until we're 25. After that, it's kind of like me. The brain starts to slow down, and you're like, oh my gosh. But our kids, right, below the age of 25, it actually alters their brain development. Okay? Initially, it stimulates serotonin and choline receptors, which is a really good thing. So kids like it. They say, oh, I can concentrate better, I can read better, I can, do all these things better. These are pleasure receptors also. So they say, oh, it makes me feel good. Why not? Okay? Nicotine withdrawal is the opposite effect, and it's actually been shown to even cause ADHD. The problem is that this is so new, e-cigarettes, okay, that we don't know the health consequences, right? I was talking about regular cigarettes, where it takes years and decades, kind of all that to develop. With e-cigarettes, we don't even know. We do know that nicotine is bad and it hooks people, okay? So cigarettes solves the wrong problem. It helps adults quit smoking, but it has not been verified, okay? So I don't have any patients that say, you know what? I found this great thing called the e-cigarette, and that's what I'm doing. I have 0 patients like that, okay? So it gets kids started on smoking. That is verified. Kids that vape are 7 times more likely to pick up a regular cigarette. And actually, half of them will be converts to regular tobacco. Half, right? So, and it earns lots and lots of money for companies that were losing the tobacco battle. Okay? So, why worry? Kids play t-ball, right? This is a great thing. Okay? Adults playing t-ball doesn't happen, right? Has anybody ever heard of an adult t-ball league? No. So adults play baseball, right? So kids are JUULing, okay? Adults look ridiculous JUULing. They do, because you don't want to be the adult with a JUUL stick in your mouth and finding a computer to plug it in. No, adults like cigarettes, right? I mean, these guys were madmen, right? I mean, this is what, as you grow up, you're like, well, I want to be him. Oh, I want to be her, right? And that's how it develops. And you're already hooked on the nicotine, right? So it's a really easy transition, very easy. So the FDA took notice. If you haven't noticed, it's all over the news. The FDA now regulates all tobacco products, including e-cigarettes. Some of the rules, they have to check ID. They can only sell to somebody over the age of 18. You're not supposed to have flavored cigarettes, regular cigarettes. You can still sell e-cigarettes, and etc. This is basically says, don't give free samples. Make sure you card 18 or over. So why did they take notice? Why are they starting to wake up and say, you know what, we do have a problem? Well, that's because every day 2,500 kids start their first cigarette, okay? And 400 become daily smokers. Okay? And with e-cigarettes, that's going to increase even more. Okay, so between 2011 and 2015, e-cigarette rose from 1.5% to 16% among high school students. That's even higher in Fond du Lac. Okay? Many of these children will become addicted before they're old enough to understand the risks. Right? I'm invincible type of thing. It's not going to happen to me. They don't know the risks. Okay. And laws are designed to make regulated tobacco products less accessible and less attractive to youth, and that's the whole thing that the FDA knows that through the campaigns that they had before for regular cigarettes, cigarette consumption is down. They're hoping that they're not too late to the start gate to start regulating some of the things. One of the things that I also want to point out is there is a way for these e-cigarette companies to go and apply to the FDA as a smoking cessation device, okay? That it would actually be approved as a smoking cessation. 0 companies have done that. There's not a single e-cigarette company that actually applied for that to be a cessation device. Because all of a sudden, right, you have to have your physician recommended and all these other things. Well, they don't want to do that. So 0 companies, and there's a lot of out there, have used the application to apply as a smoking cessation device, which is crazy. Okay? So, in summary, tobacco is all, right? 9th century, Mexico, right? All that thing. Tobacco can cause health complications. Okay? Tobacco industry is not stupid. E-cigarettes are new. E-cigarettes is the tobacco alternative. E-cigarettes can cause health complications. E-cigarette industry is not stupid. Basically, you got this, the forever loop, right? Anything that we try to do, it's economics, right? They need to survive. These companies need to survive, just like St. Agnes needs to survive, right? These companies need to survive. So they'll find ways to do it. So you have to be able to outsmart the loop, okay? You have to be able to recognize, right, that what these companies are trying to do and what they're really doing is they're trying to hook you into basically whether it's tobacco or nicotine or any product. Okay? So, as I said before, knowledge does not change behavior. However, it can influence decisions. And I think this is kind of the most important thing that I want to make sure that everybody understands. It's we need to influence decisions for yourselves, for our future generations, for our kids. Okay? Because if you tell them one thing or another, that doesn't mean that they're going to do it. Okay? But if they have the choice, they're sitting there with their friends and their buddies, that knowledge can influence the decision. Thank you. That's a lot of slides. We made it.